Thank you for being here. You know, I'm excited about this season simply because the amount of experience I have coming back, okay, but particularly with key players. To give you an idea of what I'm saying, I remember talking to these young men. We were at Arkansas State, and I was pointing out that the place can be pretty unruly there. They got a real nice big arena, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of people there, but because it's so big, they could have 5,000 to 6,000 people there. And so we got to keep our heads level and not let the game get away from us. And I remember I said, do any of you guys remember the last time we were here? And I think it was Nigel turned to me and said, Coach, none of us have ever been in this gym. None of us have ever been in the gym before. So that made me, more than any other time last year, realize how inexperienced we are. That we are going to places in the Sun Belt Conference to play where not one player on the team has been on the floor in that environment. And then to top it off, you lose two of those experienced players in Marlon Davis. And even though he didn't miss a ton of games, he missed, I want to say, I don't know, I would need Blay here, maybe 7 or 8 games, but you know, Neja was virtually not the same player. And for everybody who thought we were going to have a great year last year, including I thought we were going to have a good year, you lose Marlon, you lose Neja off a team with a lot of inexperience coming back, it's going to affect you. Well, that's where I come back to where Alex in his experience is going to help us. Trey in his experience is going to help us. Marlon is practicing with us. We're going to scrimmage Abilene Christian on Friday. He's not going to play in that scrimmage, but then we have another close scrimmage the following week with Incarnate Word that he's going to try to play. We're doing 2 close scrimmages because they didn't want an exhibition game. They want the game with Air Force to be the opening game. So we're doing 2 close scrimmages this year. And, you know, so there are a lot of times where when I put all this experience together on one team, that they look pretty good in practice. But in my exit interviews with these guys before they left, I have Alex Houslade, my operations guy, I said, I need you to record and get, you know, as best you can the conversation I'm having with these players. And we asked them, what was the reason for us being 15 and 18? And they were pretty much on the numbers that I had. 1, we need to play better defense, Coach. That was one of my worst defensive teams last year. 2, you know, and basically they said we got to buy in on the defensive end. 2, they mentioned inexperience. I thought that was a great answer. You know, 3, we got to win these close games. If you talk about how many losses we had by 4 points or less, it's the majority of our losses, or very close to half, somewhere about 1 over half or right at half. And that includes one of the toughest periods of my life. I go from one of the best months of my life, January, to one of the toughest months of my life as a coach, February. So, you know, we lost a lot of heartbreaking games. We got to improve our free throw shooting. I can point to 4 or 5 losses, maybe even more. Certainly, anybody remembers the UTSA debacle last year? It strictly came down to free throw shooting. And we've got to do a better job there. We've got to do a better job on defense, particularly stopping penetration by the other team's key players. And I thought we rebounded on positives. I thought the rebounding was better last year. And offensively, we probably were better than most years, other than the year prior to that, OJ and Caven's senior year. But even there, we have to do a better job of being more efficient with turnovers and limiting turnovers and bad shots. So they're a good group of young men. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, we won the GPA award for the Sun Belt. The year we went to the finals of the tournament. Last year, they were just under a 3.0. I haven't had an issue off the floor with these guys, and I haven't had an issue with the last 3 years. So, if I lose sleep, it's over losing a game. It's not over worrying about what they're doing, in their free time. I trust them in many respects, and that's one of them. I think we've got good people. We got to stay healthy and keep the injury bug. Last year, as far as this my time here was my worst year for injuries. Marlon, Nedja, Gurley. Those three guys were projected to start coming into the season. And at the end of the year, they were not starting. And Gurley played only 21 or 2 games out of the 33 we played. So let's hope, every night I pray that we stay away from injuries. We stay away from bad attitudes, which I don't see at this point in time. And we stay away from things like ineligibility, which I don't see a problem at this time. And I think if we do that, we could have a pretty good year this year. I'm smiling when they pick us 8th. I don't think we're an 8th place team. And when they picked us 12th 2 years ago, I was really smiling. That's fine. That way I think my team is better, and if we do better than they pick us, that makes me look good. So go ahead, pick us low. We'll surprise you. Anyway, instead of asking me questions right now, if you can keep in mind what I just told you, and I'll come back and answer your questions. Let's let Nigel and Alex talk to you guys right now so they can get off to practice, because we start at 1:45.
Nigel, going into the offseason, what did you do to advance your offensive game? Because defensively, you're one of the better perimeter defenders in the Sun Belt Conference.
Offensively, I think I just try to become a more complete basketball player all around. I wouldn't say that I was particularly focused on one part of my game or another. I just focused on improving everything, become a better ball handler, a better finisher, a better shooter. I think I'm pretty good at each one of those things, but just to become better at it is what makes me a complete player.
Coach was talking about experience, or a lack of experience last year was kind of an issue. Coming this year, you're one of the more experienced players. Do you feel like you're more so going to take on that leadership role with this team?
Last year, as a sophomore, I was 19 years old at the time, so I was voted team captain. So, leading 22, 23-year-old guys, that was tough. But last year, and then losing games just as close, it made me grow up faster. So I think this year, I'm a better leader. I have a problem with letting my emotions show sometimes on my face, and my body language always isn't the best, but I've improved from that from last year to this year and just become a better all-around leader. So as of now, I feel like I'm a pretty good leader. I have a lot of help from Alex and Trey, Jalen Shedd. Freshmen help me lead also. This is a good group of guys, you know what I'm saying? So Mason Harrell helps lead. Shelby Adams, a lot of those guys, they help lead. And it's a lot easier than it is last year to this year, just because last year was such a rough year. It helped me grow up.
Nigel, team chemistry is so important. We see it right now here at Texas State, where Texas State soccer, Texas State volleyball, you can just, there during the matches, you see the chemistry. So there are some newcomers in the men's basketball program. What have you and Alex and the other returning leaders done to get those guys acclimated as soon as possible?
Main thing we do, more than tell them what to do, we just show them, instead of just harping on things. I think that was a problem last year. We harped on things a lot. We talked about what we want to do a lot, but now we're more of doing it. And it's funny that you say that about the volleyball team, because in practice, our coaches scream out volleyball talk like the volleyball team. We go to the volleyball games, we watch how they talk, how they are so in unity, and so we try to mimic that. We talk loud. Even if we're not saying anything, you say the same thing over and over. We got a new thing we're trying to do with echo and everything. One person say something, 2 people say something, now 3 people say something, now 4 people, and it's on and on and on, from the sideline to the court, and we're just trying to become a better team with all the smaller aspects.
You mentioned being voted team
I wouldn't say added pressure. I mean, sometimes I myself add pressure to myself, which is unneeded. But I wouldn't say added pressure. I mean, it's more of like a respect factor. I feel like my guys respect me enough to vote me in like that. You know, that means a lot. Not more pressure, more appreciation than pressure.
One area that Coach Casper was mentioning is how experience is going to help you guys, especially in terms of game plan and execution. So I just wanted to get your perspective on how you feel another year of experience with this group of guys is going to help you all overcome some of the inconsistencies you had both defensively and offensively last year.
I mean, the biggest thing with experience, in my mind, comes just the fact that on the court, we trust each other more. So with me playing for Coach Casper the third year, I trust his system more. As far as I would trust the guy that's playing for his second year to trust Coach Casper's system. So if he trusts Coach Casper's system, then I know he's going to have my back when I mess up, or I'm going to have his back, instead of trying to selfishly, I don't know if he's going to have my back, so I'm just going to try to do it on my own type. But for the most part, yeah, you know, we just trusting each other more.
And speaking of the system, how would you say some of the new players have adjusted to that?
They're adjusting well, you know. There's a lot of learning. We also throwing in some new things that I'm having to learn as well. So, and the other returns are having to learn. So it's been exciting.
What are some of those new things, without giving away game plan details, what are some of the new things that y'all are learning this year to help y'all win games?
I don't really know if I could say that. We just playing, we just having fun.
Experiencing some of those close losses the way you did last season, do you feel like that'll help you learn to get past those and be able to close out games like that?
Yes, it's definitely experiencing close losses like that made me a better player. You know, I would hope it made everyone else better players, and it's looking back at those games, it's plays in those games that could have been made that we could have won. I feel like it's plays that I could have made or my teammates could have made. And I feel like if we make those small plays, which are free throws, rebounds, a charge, not even, you know, it doesn't have to be scoring, extra pass, call out a set at the right time, or call out somebody rotated a little bit faster, just small things like that, somebody getting a 50-50 ball. That's things like that that's going to help us be a better team. And I feel like we all understand that. I feel like the common goal this year is just to win games. I don't care how we win. We don't care if it's about 15, about 1, 20, anyway in there. We don't care what the score is. We just want to win.
Nigel, Coach mentioned in his opening statement how Nedja was battling injuries all year, and Zay had trouble staying on the court, and of course Marlon went down pretty early in the season. A lot of folks, I don't know if everybody understands your relationship with Marlon, how close you and Moo are. So how do you feel about his return to the lineup, and how is that going to help you?
Oh yeah, me and Marlon close to best friends. You know, we roommates. We pretty much play the game together, eat together at the same time, go to like anything, you know what I'm saying, it's my guy. But just seeing his progress, seeing how hard he's working to come back, it motivates me to go harder, you know. When I see him work, anytime, I even done some of his rehab with him. Whenever he work out in rehab, if he wants somebody to come with him, I went with him. And he want to go play, I go play with him, you know. So it motivates me to go harder, you know. I'm not sure what he's going to do this year, but it made me proud to see him, how hard he works.
You know, Coach mentioned the UTSA game last year, real close game. The Roadrunners ended up winning. Obviously, it's on his mind. Is that one on your mind at all? You guys got him on the schedule again this year. Is that one you're thinking a little bit extra about?
I'm thinking about Abilene Christian right now. So whenever UTSA comes around, I get there, but just one game at a time right now.
Do you ever think about that game at all? Do you remember?
I think about it when the time comes. I mean, it was a heartbreaker for sure. At the time, it hurt. But it's game basketball. Things happen. Basketball is one of the craziest games. You know, anything can happen. So, I mean, it happens. It's a part of the game. Next, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, Friday. Ready to play tomorrow.
You know, Coach mentioned that he smiled when he saw that you were picked 8th in the conference. Do you kind of like that role where you're doubted, where you get to prove them wrong?
I ain't smile. I ain't gonna say I ain't smile, nah. But I mean, I ain't gonna say I like it either. I don't like to be disrespected or looked down on, but what can I do about it? I can play basketball, but I can't do that till November 9th. So until then, I don't have anything really to say about it.
Just in general, I'm sure last season probably was a whirlwind for you. Yeah, I know for a lot of first-year guys, it's just, wow, everything's going a million miles an hour. But as you think back to last season, what did you learn? What helped you last season that's going to help you grow this season?
Last season, just really going through all those tough games, close games. It teaches you how to overcome things like that going into your second year. Like last year, when it would be like a close game, you would kind of tighten up and stuff like that, and now you just learn how to play looser and don't be so crunched up in crunch time. So that's really the biggest thing I learned.
Experience was a big factor that Coach brought up last year, something that changed this year. Along with Nigel, do you feel like you're taking in more of a leadership role? Last year was your first year, you were one of the classmen. Do you feel this year is more so a leader?
Most definitely. I definitely have to step into a bigger part of the leadership role. Me and Nigel, we're kind of the go-to leader guys on the team so far. I let him do more of the talking and the, getting the guys riled up and all that stuff. And I've always been kind of an emotional leader. Like, I lead by example pretty much. So I come to practice every day, do what I'm supposed to do, and then the guys see me doing that and they'll follow my suit. So that's pretty much how I go about it.
Alex, you mentioned all the close games the team was involved in a year ago, and there were a couple of game winners that you hit on the road at Little Rock against the Trojans, at home against Troy. How much do you enjoy being involved in moments like that?
I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't amazing, but it could be anybody on the team who made those plays. It just happened to be me, and it was amazing. It was a great feeling.
Have you talked to Coach about getting more involved in the offense, like drawing up plays for you, or no?
No, I've never been a guy to ask the coach to give me the ball. It's just like I play within the offense and get my spots where I can. I've never been a volume shooter. I play the game with many different facets. I pass, I get people open, I can rebound, I can also score on 3 levels. So I get the game however the game comes to me.
Now that you and the main core of guys have spent more time together, we'll have another year of under Coach Casper's system under your belt, what things are you seeing in practice right now that y'all are trying to focus on in order to be ready for Abilene Christian?
It's more of just having more experience. Like Nigel said, you trust each other more. You trust each other. I know where my guys are going to be. My guys know where I'm going to be. I know what everybody brings to the table, and we have more of a cohesive team this year, more so than last year, as far as trusting each other and things like that.
Where do you feel like this team has grown defensively during practice so far? And how much improvement do you think this team can make compared to last year?
Defensively, we've gotten a lot better. We've trusted more in the Casper system, Coach Casper system. So, and it also we had young guys, high school guys. It's a big leap coming from high school to college, especially on the defensive end. So they've gotten that year under their belt. I had the year under my belt here, being able to see the change in the defense and how you're actually supposed to be able to play defense here, and that change has brought a great deal of change as far as our defensive.
We brought Alex here for a reason. Alex developed, I don't know if y'all remember this. Alex was, I want to say, what was it, Alex? A rebound or a point away from a triple-double? Assist away. And, going back when we lost, no one wanted to lose Neja. Neja went to Maine. His prep school coach, who is from Serbia, got hired as the assistant coach at Maine. That has something to do with it. I think also what happened last year in terms of losing his job to Alex was something. But when Neja got hurt and we gave Alex that chance, he really, that really helped us. At least, well, it did help us, and it's going to help us this year. I don't think I'd look at Alex in the same light if that opportunity hadn't been afforded to him. These are 2 guys I got to have. And, Trey Nottingham is a player that I think can help us he helped us a lot last year. But we had to use Trey as a point guard that was not the plan. Trey, I try to recruit 2.5 at every position. By that I mean I want 2 true point guards, 2 true 2 guards, and then find what I call a combo guard that can play both. And Trey was the combo, and meant to give us maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes a game at most. And at the end of the year, he's having to give us 30, 34, 35. And Trey is more comfortable. You know, he likes the ball in his hands, but he doesn't like to have to bring it up and set it up. So we do feel like we are much stronger at point guard. You know, with Jalen, Mason, and Marlon, and even again, Trey if need be. So I will not be caught shorthanded again throughout the rest of my coaching career at that position. You know, as one good friend of mine said, you know why you know why I only have 3 point guards? Because I couldn't find a good 4th one. So they're like quarterbacks. You got to have them. You lose them, you're going to be in trouble. So we do feel like we're stronger at point guard. We do feel like we have more experience at the 2 guard, Nigel at the 3, and we're going to play Shelby some at the 3. We brought in a young man named Keem Dashner who practiced hard all summer. In the first week of practice, we're doing some conditioning afterwards, something he's been doing all summer, and his knee locks up on him. And he has to have arthroscopic surgery, and he'll be fully released as of this coming Monday. He is practicing with us, but on a limited basis. He will not scrimmage against Abilene Christian either. He will go against Incarnate Word, though. But Nigel, a more experienced Nigel, Akeem, and Shelby, I think, gives us a stronger 3. I do think that the 4 spot is arguably about the same. You know, and the center spot, we have to figure that out. You know, hopefully Eric Rhodes is going to be more confident, but I won't go into why, but Eric did not play his last year and a half of high school. And that is a very formative time of your life as a basketball player. And so a lot of the things that he's been learning has been under us. But as all of you know, against Coastal Carolina in the tournament, without him, he's the one that won the game for us. And that was a very big confidence builder for him. So it's a tough league. I don't know what we were ranked as a league last year, but I want to say 12 or 13, somewhere in there, you know, out of 32 leagues in the country. And you got to come play every day. I want to also tell you, even though in those 9 straight losses we had, I want to say, I know Coastal beat us here at the buzzer virtually 1 second ago. I know at App State, Nigel is going in for a layup, and it's on film. Appalachian State guy, you cannot see any distance between Nigel's shooting hand and his arm right there. No foul. UTA, we miss a lob play, layup. Georgia State, we're up 4 with 3 minutes to go, lose by 4. I know I'm missing 1 game. You get my point, out of 9 games. There's only 3 games that I was very upset with this team, and that was Georgia State here, and I wasn't even upset with them with 1 of them, and Lafayette here. That was it. We played Lafayette so much better at Lafayette. We played Georgia State. We should have won the game. And, of course, Lafayette beat us pretty bad at the tournament. But that is one of the most best teams I've ever seen not go to the NCAA tournament. Lafayette, 5 Division I transfers. BYU, USC, South Carolina, Missouri, and I'm missing 1. But that's and to tell you that I think even their most valuable players are not even D1 transfers. They're Bryce Washington and Jonathan Stove, tremendous leaders that they'll lose. So I know that hopefully they'll miss them more than people realize. So it was under the disappointment of a winless February. You know, even as I left, I said, but these guys did not give up other than that Georgia State game. And I will tell you, DeMarcus Simons is probably the best player I've seen in 5 years. MVP as a sophomore. I was just on the phone with Dennis Lindsey, a general manager of the Utah Jazz this morning, because a friend of mine, and someone y'all know, a booster in this area, wants to take his grandson to the NBA All-Star game. And he's a good booster of athletics in general. So I'm working on trying to get him 2 tickets to the All-Star game. And I'm talking to Dennis about that. And, you know, I was telling him, I said, you got to watch this kid, man. He said, he's the best. And you have that kid, Lafayette, that went to Orlando. Yeah, Sean goes to Philadelphia, Sean Long. And then the Hunter kid goes to Boston. And I still think this kid is a better prospect, DeMarcus Simons. And that's who beat us that game. We couldn't stop him. So only 3 games disappointed me. I was disappointed with UTSA game, but those kids don't want to miss free throws. It wasn't like nobody quit. You know, I mean, you don't get mad at somebody for missing free throws. They feel like hell anyway. It was disappointing, but it's 3 games that I can talk about that I'm disappointed in the way we played. And 2 against Lafayette, one of the best teams I've seen come through the Sun Belt. And then, of course, another team that went to the tournament, Georgia State. So, you know, I take that, and I just feel like, quietly so, I'm not going to go out there and, you know, blow it on the intercom system. I just think this team, if it chooses to do what I ask them to do, could make some waves. Could make some serious waves this year. And again, the experience of them going through a 15-18 disappointing season. Like I said, you can't do the same thing. That was a long February. We got to do something. And I think they're saying baseball and their answers in the exit interviews is, you know, we got to do it his way. And I think they are trying to do it my way, our way, in practices right now.
Coach, I know the focus is Air Force on November 9th, but just your overall thoughts on the upcoming non-conference schedule. You already talked about how tough the Sun Belt is, but just the non-conference
Well,
schedule.
you know, they're talking about aligning us with certain leagues, Conference USA. Well, we got Rice and UTSA on the schedule. And I'm not big on getting on planes. You know that, traveling with me. You know, if there's anything that's going to get me out of this business, it's going to be travel. And so, you know, you see us playing Rice, UTSA. I try to get North Texas. They don't want to play. You know, we got A&M Corpus Christi, though that series ends, though I'll try to extend it for at least another 2 years. We'll try to extend UTSA series. But we have Drake. We're playing Arkansas right before Christmas. It's a big money game, meaning that it's a big team that gives us great money. I've got a certain amount of money they ask me to raise. And every year we try to find somebody that even though they're paying us $75,000, $80,000, we think we can beat them. And you know, we think Drake is such an opponent that has a rich history, but they're starting over with a brand new coach basically and a new team. And they're giving us some decent money to come up there and play. Now, everybody who's been to Arkansas, and my teams have been up there twice, knows you got to play really well in front of the Hog fans to win that game, especially on December 22nd. I just hope they're not thinking about going home that day, because we fly out that night to home. But, and then we have UTSA at their place, which he had a good year last year. Coach of the year, and I want to say they made the CIT. And I think so I think they're going to have a good team. We go to the Portland Classic, where we were able to get, you know, we can play 29 games without a tournament or MTE, what they call it, multiple team event, or you can play 31. And my guys want to play games, so we actually let Abilene Christian out of a home game to go play in Portland's tournament, 31, so we can play 31 games instead of 29. Abilene Christian is coming back to us in what would be 2019-20. Okay. I said I was disappointed in 3 games. There is one more. I was very disappointed in our HBU performance at HBU. We have them coming back. That was the one non-conference game. I was not happy at all. You know, that was one of those get on the bus, let's go home, quick. But I think it's a competitive non-conference schedule that doesn't have us traveling all over the country during school. Even the Drake game is on a Saturday. The Portland tournament's over Thanksgiving. I do not want to miss a lot of school. You know, they're here to graduate, and they're here to take care of business academically as much as anything else. So.
Coach, this offseason, did you work with like the offense and try to get pace going with this team, or is it still just focused defense?
No, let me tell you something here. If you have to listen to what I said. When you lose your point guard and you lose your starting four-man, and you got new guys in there, and one of them's a combo guard, I believe you're going to. I mean, you're going to practice, and you're welcome to. You know, you'll hear me yelling at him, run, push it. You know, I mean, a lot of players, when they come recruit, coach, do you run? And my reply is, well, will you? Because when they say run, I think a lot of young men mean, will you let me shoot it quick? Well, I'll let you shoot it quick if you're open and if you move down the court. We can't have joggers, and that's one thing we're asking them to do. But I do think we can run better with this point guard crew than we did for half the season last year with Trey at the point. Okay. And that's not a knock on Trey. Trey's a good player. He's just playing out of position. And I don't want to run if it means that we're going to have the wrong guy shooting threes either. And, you know, we have a bunch of guards on this team, correct? Those were the number, either 1 and 3 or 2 and 3 three-point shooters on the teams that talked to you today. A 4-man and a 3-man. No guard shot over 30% from the three, except for Tyler. So we've got to shoot the ball better, and hopefully we will do that. You know, this year, particularly with Trey. Trey's a good shooter, but he shot in the 20s. That's one reason we took him, because we thought he could shoot. And hopefully putting him off the ball will allow him to shoot the basketball better. So.
Coach, what role are you expecting out of Mason Harrell this year?
Big role for a freshman. Big role. I mean, I have concerns like when we played DeMarcus Simons, who's 6'4", 205. Okay, what do you do with Mason and that guy? You know, but that's a pro in my opinion. But Mason is probably the most savvy point guard that I have in my 5 years here. As a freshman, he is better than some kids I brought as JUCO transfers. And everything else, can you give me that water in that cup over there, please? Oh, is this mine here? Okay, thank you. Everything is yes, coach. Yes, sir. No, yes, coach. He's a very, very, he's a good sign. And if anybody followed me at SFA, I had Eric Bell at 5'5", 145, 2 years, 3 years, starting point guard, smallest player in Division I, followed by Denzel Barnes at 5'9". Well, let me go back. Marcus Clark at 5'9", from 02 to 06. And then we didn't have a very good point guard, and we struggled in 06, 07. Brought Eric Bell in, won 2 titles, finished second his senior year. Brought Denzel Barnes in, won 19 one year, won 21 his senior year. And then we have Hal Bateman, and we go 27-5. There's not a player in all those names I mentioned over 5'10". So it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. That's the way I tell those guys. So battle. And I think he is going to be a player that everyone here loves to watch play. Very good shooter and very unselfish, and will play defense like I asked him to. Has taken charges on big men at his size in practice, several charges. I mean, you got Eric Terry catching that ball and turning, and he runs into you. You know, that's 6'8", 240, and he's sitting there taking the charge, and I'm going, oh, just get up. Don't stay on that floor. Get up, please. But he does it, and I'm very excited about him. The other player I thought would help us a lot, but it's an unknown factor, is Akeem Dashner right now. And then we picked up a center late. As you guys know, we picked up a freshman, and then he lasted a week in the summer and left. So we picked up a junior college center who joined us in August. And, you know, Chandler's a big man. He's 6'8", 240. He's learning some things. And he was one of the key figures on a junior college team that hadn't gone to the national tournament in 20-something years. And with Chandler as a sophomore, along with a couple of other players, they won like 25 games and went to the JUCO national tournament. And I give a lot of credit for that, even though he can't recruit, to my GA, Dylan Johnson. When we hired Dylan, he brought his name up and he said, Coach, he's got to go to summer school all summer, but right now he's still open. And we got him, and I thought he was a great get late in the picture. Big, strong guy.
You know, last year we talked about the pressure that Nigel was putting on himself. You know, how have you seen him grow this offseason?
Yeah, so y'all know this. Y'all heard of sophomoritis, didn't y'all? Y'all heard that term. I think we had several guys with that. We had several guys that said, you know, Caven's out of here, Bobby's out of here, it's my turn. And they thought it was their turn. And I really believe that was a big part of last year, in addition to injuries. And hopefully Nigel is feeling much better at his place, with his place on the team. You know, I think he seems to be having more fun in practice, you know, watching him. He just seems to be enjoying practice more. And he said something when I was sitting down. He said, I'm voted captain as a sophomore, and we haven't even started the season. That doesn't happen very often as a sophomore. So that tells you we had somewhat of a leadership void last year.
You talked about Mason a little bit. He's going to be big coming in as a freshman. I think it was something like 33 points he averaged.
Lots. I went up there to watch him play. His team lost, I want to say 69, 66, and he had 37, plus about 8 assists, you know, and they lost a heartbreaker game. And, man, after that game, I said, I don't care if nobody else wants him. He was Gatorade Player of the Year and Associated Press 6A Player of the Year, but he has gained 20 pounds since he's here. So not only was he short, he was very frail, but we told him, you're going to have to get bigger and stronger. And, boy, he took it to heart. He's been in the weight room. You probably can't see that because he's not very big. But he's closer to 160, where he was closer to 140 when he got here. His skill level is very good, though, very good. Now, he can shoot and he can drive, but, you know, obviously what he was driving on in high school were not 6'8s and 6'7s, 6'9s as often as he's going to be here. So, you know, but he does try to take it. But what I like when he drives to the basket, he's equally looking for his own shot in others, you know, to pass it to. So, when you set a screen for Mason, and, you know, Trey, we'd set a screen for Trey, and Trey would come off that screen and step back and shoot the three. And my whole point was, what are we setting screens for you, man? We can get that shot without a ball screen. Mason takes a screen and tries to go to the bucket. You know, try to create for yourself or others. And that's because Mason's a true point guard. You know, Marlon's the same way, but Marlon doesn't have, though I think it's better than it was last year, I don't think he has the outside accuracy that Mason has as far as shooting. So.
Coach, you talked about the close losses last season. What have y'all been doing, or what can you do so that that's not the case this season?
Well, one thing we can do is hit free throws. And I'm not sure if anybody has an answer. If they do, they'll make millions of dollars. But, you know, we can harp on hitting free throws. We put them in pressure situations, but I did that last year too. The other thing is you know, we've got to finish. Like I said, if you take 2 games, we were sitting there and help me, you know, if you would, Bill. When Coastal and Appalachian State came here, I don't know if we were 7-2 or 7-3 in conference play. And I thought that was the biggest homestand because I knew that we had some Lafayettes and coming on the road and so forth. And you know, we beat Monroe here, but I knew beating Monroe at Monroe was going to be a very tall task. And so I said, we need to win these 2 games. And you know, we like I said, I thought Nigel got fouled. That's the only time I'm going to refereeing last year. And then we made a mistake where we abandoned someone to go double team on a lob, and they dumped it off to somebody for a layup at Coastal Carolina. So when I look at our schedule and I say, like when we lose to Coastal Carolina at home in a last-second shot, and we beat them there in a close game, I'm saying, okay, that's a trade-off. You know, we beat them in a close game, very close game at their place. New Year's Eve, and by the way, I was in bed by 11:30 that night, but it was the happiest New Year's Eve I've had in a long time. No partying. Anyway, Bill wanted me to go out, you know, partying with him, but I didn't want to. But anyway, but I called that even Steven. They got one close one at our place. We got one at theirs. But that App State loss bothered me a great deal because we had App State down, I forget, 6 or 8 at their place with about 6 minutes to go, and we let it get away. Free throws played a big part in that game, I remember. And then we had them here, and we let them get away. You know, I felt like there were teams who were going to be tough for us to beat, like Lafayette. And if we get a win up from them, that's going to be big. But there were some teams we should have been splitting with them at the very minimum. And we lost some heartbreaking games to those teams. So I told the guys we finished the season, regular season 18-12 with OJ and Caven, 1-2 in the tournament, 1-2 in CIT. We easily could have done that, and if not even one more or 2 wins last year. Rather than finish the season, what we finished at 14-17 last year, we easily could have been 18-13. You got one?
Yeah, one more question. Sorry, Coach. Coach Z kind of talked about the renovations in Strahan. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, it's gonna look beautiful when they're finally finished. It looks pretty nice right now, but I'm talking about outside and inside. And it's everybody talks about that. Everybody's been telling me, boy, it should help your recruiting. You know, when you're getting this, it's going to help our recruiting now that it's completed. You can't ask an 18-year-old to visualize something 2 years ago. You can't do that. They want to see it completed. You know, I mean, and there's some things, you know, if Baylor wants a kid and we want a kid, they're going to try to play Big 12 ball. But when it comes to, say, a Conference USA school or us, that's why I tell my guys don't back off from, you know, if Texas or Baylor wants a kid, we better tread lightly there. We might be chasing a ghost. But if a Conference USA school wants a kid, we don't back off from those kind of leagues, okay? And, but, you know, there's a lot of talk about, well, this should help you. Well, this is helping us now because it's 90% complete. Whereas, you know, in last year when the wall is still up or a year ago from now, talking about it I don't think had that much of a positive effect on our recruiting. But having it nearly completed now, it does help a great deal. It's a wonderful building, beautiful, done with a lot of class.